Hey everyone, how are you? We are talking about coordinating finishes and how to create a cohesive, neutral color envelope. And I am going live on other platforms. So let me hop over to Instagram and click go live. Okay, we're live on Instagram now too. Hey everybody. So we are talking about coordinating finishes to create a cohesive. I'm going to remove Twitter to create a cohesive neutral envelope. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining. So that's what we're talking about right now. And I'm just making sure we're live everywhere. It's just, all the housekeeping stuff when you push this button to go live. Hey, everybody. Okay, so this is the second try at this. Hey to everyone who's watching. The first time, and I just dropped a paint chip, so let me get what I'm talking. So the first time I went live, the sound was really bad because I had the wrong microphone and I didn't share the right screen. And I forgot to talk about cabinets in this whole thing. So cabinetry is like a big thing. So let me get comfortable because we're going to do it right this time. Okay. So how do you coordinate all of these finishes so they harmonize perfectly and it's a cohesive envelope of a space? And the reason why you might want to focus, you always want to get this right, but there are a couple situations where that might be all you got to work with for now. Like you've just moved into a new house and the budget is just not there to do anything in terms of furnishings and decor just yet. So you've kind of sunk all of your money into your hard finishes and building the house. And you need something neutral that's flexible that you can add things to over time as you get more budget to do that. That happens to a lot of people. It's I get that request a lot. It's like, can you help me make these selections so it will be flexible for different color palettes and styles down the road, because I'm not even sure what I want. And we can do that, right? We can give you a baseline, something to work with. Another situation is maybe it's a remodel or even a flip, and you're creating that cohesive neutral color space envelope for a new owner, and you want to make it as appealing to as many buyers as you possibly can. You want it to be neutral, but you certainly don't want it to be all white and all gray or all black, right? You don't want to be that kind of achromatic neutral. You want it to be a warm and cozy, pretty kind of a neutral, off whites. So, and maybe it's just your style. Maybe you like the tone on tone, and you've been living the neutral aficionado life for a while, and you know that getting that tone on tone look to harmonize perfectly takes a little finesse. And I'm going to show you a shortcut to that tonight. I'm going to show you how to make sure all of your selections harmonize perfectly in terms of hue family. So we are going to start talking about the cabinets, because this is this is a typical color conundrum that we have to deal with. So your cabinets could be an off-white, and the cabinetry comes in, you can give your cabinet person a paint color from Benjamin Moore or Sherwin-Williams to match, but they don't always get it spot on. It's going to be close. It's going to be somewhere in that neighborhood. You might have stock cabinets that they just call off-white, or, they call it snowbound or downy or, daisy or whatever. They have a name for the cabinet color, but it's not a stark white. It's not like a snowball white. It is definitely an off-white, and it's creamy looking. And it's like, where do you start with this? How do I coordinate anything with this? So you have your cabinets, right? And so the first thing we want to do is measure your cabinets, whatever that might be. And in this example, tonight, we are going to be working in this range. And I can show you because I pulled some paint colors that are typical for an off-white cabinet. So this is typically what white paint colors look like when we measure them from manufacturers or cabinets that have been custom sprayed with a lacquer. You know, the specialty cabinet lacquers, not just a regular paint from the paint store. Some of the ones that I've had to deal with were similar to Arcade White from Sherwin-Williams, White Opulence. I've seen a couple times. Downy, it has a little more color to it. As you can see, it has some chroma of 0.73. Some people call this a light putty color. I've seen White Flower, and Cheviot from Sherwin-Williams is another one that was close. So this is the range that we're looking at for an off-white cabinetry. I've also seen Alabaster, right? Alabaster from Sherwin-Williams. That comes in around 99 or 100. So that's not too far out of this range. But for this example, we're going to be working in the 80 to 85, maybe 90 range, trying to coordinate this whole look for this cohesive neutral color envelope. And starting with the cabinets, because this is what you have to choose from. Usually they have a white and an off-white period. That's what you get to choose from, but you never know. And that's the other problem with coordinating all of these finishes. You are kind of locked into your resources and what you have to choose from. The good news about what I'm about to show you is it doesn't matter, right? The process is the same. We take inventory of the hue families and we coordinate the elements based on their hue family relationship, period. So whether you have, 7 different flooring samples to choose from or 3, right? It's the same process. You have to take inventory of those hue families and we align the color DNA according to its hue family. And that's how we end up with a cohesive neutral color envelope that will gracefully hold future elements, whatever they might be. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a baseline of where we're starting with the cabinets. Forgot to talk about this completely last time. So let me come back here and I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back to the full view. Okay, let's see. We got the cabinets out of the way. Oftentimes, people will find their countertop first. And I think I would have to say that this is what happens the most. It's like, I love this countertop. How can we make this work? First thing we want to check is make sure the countertop and the cabinets go together, right? So that's the first thing we do. So I measured this countertop and I'm going to go show you those measurements. I can show you what that looks like when I measure it here at the Land of Color. And I use a Spectro from X-Rite. It's a bench. It's not a bench top. It is a Color Lab quality spectrophotometer from X-Rite. So let me come back over to StreamYard and see what you guys are seeing. And everything looks good. I am going to expand this so it's bigger for you guys. And I can click back over there. And I can even make it bigger. So I'm going to maximize this and back over here. And there you go. I think that's as big as we can get. If you expand your screen to full screen, you should be able to see this a little bit better. And even if you can't, I am still going to narrate it for you so you won't be lost if you can't see it. I do have a pink pointer to make it a little bit easier. So this is what we have with the countertop. It is from Cambria and it is called Britannica Gold Warm. I got 2 samples of it because it is a large pattern quartz. And I took several measurements from it because it does have multiple colors in it. As you can see, we have everything from, let's see, 98 degrees to 73 degrees. So there's a range of colors in this quartz. So what do you do with that? Well, it's called multi-point averaging, when you take multiple measurements and then you average them together. So you add it up and then you divide it by how many measurements you took. And my software will do that for me. And the average, the multi-point average for this quartz is 86.5, we'll call it 86.5. So we're in that range. And when we go back to our cabinet color, we can see that that range of 85.5 or 86.5, whatever I said, we're in that range, right? These are close enough. They're not too far out of range. So this countertop with its average hue angle of 86.5, 87 works with our cabinets, right? We know that in our example situation here. Okay, so we're good on the cabinets. We're good with our countertop. That's a really good jumping off point to start from. And now we can start building out the rest of the space. Complete that neutral envelope. So we don't want a whole lot of contrast, right? Because that's the whole point of a neutral color envelope. You want to keep things rather quiet and cohesive so it flows, but you don't want it to be boring either. And how we keep it from being boring is we're going to tweak value and maybe even chroma in the wall color to give it a more layered look and some more depth. The countertop, like I said, is a very large scale pattern. And I personally like it when you just take the countertop up onto the wall and you don't do a backsplash with tile, but that can be kind of pricey depending upon the material. And oftentimes a backsplash in tile is the best option. So we're going to do that. Like, how do we find a tile? Now we have the cabinet that's coordinated with the quartz. And now we have to work in a third element that's in the same hue family, which is the backsplash tile. And then there's also the floor. And then there's the paint color. And we're going to do it all. So I think the first thing we're going to do is the tile for the backsplash. And this isn't white, right? We are working in the off-white world here. We'll go back to the cabinet colors. I'm calling these the cabinet colors because I don't have all of these cabinet examples to work with. And as I mentioned before, when people have measured their custom lacquered cabinetry, these are the kinds of colors. This is the range of colors that those custom colors fall into. So this is a good, I don't know what's going on outside. This is a good, there's fireworks. You guys might be hearing those. It's still New Year's here, apparently. So these colors, these paint colors are similar to the lacquer colors that I see often. That's my point. Okay, so what do we do for tile? Like I said, it can be difficult because not everything is under one roof very often. Like, you're not going to go to one place and find the perfect creamy off-white cabinets and find the perfect creamy off-white countertop to go with it, and then go find the perfect creamy off-white tile for the backsplash all under one roof. So there's some legwork usually involved with this. And if you are taking inventory of your data values and writing them down as you go, that's very helpful when you have to go from location to location, because you can then eliminate a resource. Like if you go to Arizona Tile and say, hey, I'm looking for an off-white creamy brick of some kind, subway tile, rectangle, something for my backsplash. What do you have in that colorway? And if they don't have anything that aligns with your cabinetry and your quartz, well, they don't have anything and you can keep moving. And how you're going to do that on site, and this is how I do it on site, because I mentioned what I showed you, the software that I showed you goes with this spectrophotometer from X-Ray, and it's the same instrument that they use in color labs, that paint manufacturers use in their color lab. So I don't take that with me. When I go on site, I take my Spectro 1 Pro. And there's a Spectro 1 as well. And the difference is the Spectro 1 Pro measures through gloss. It takes that into consideration and it doesn't count it. And it will measure through shiny and get directly to the color. So this is how I do it on site when I'm not here. And the only reason why I'm showing you the spreadsheet from the big Spectro is because it's all nice and organized and it's easy to share it with you. But it's the same information, right? This little device uses the same color space and displays the same color data values as my big one. And it's plenty accurate. It's very accurate. If it wasn't accurate, I wouldn't use it. So that's how you're going to do it. And that's how I do it on site. And of course, I'm going to show you the app that goes with that, so you know what you're working with. And I'm going to show you a process to keep track of it as you are measuring all of your different options. So this is the app that goes with this device. I call this the window of wonder because it has all the good stuff. You want to make sure your settings are D65 2-degree observer, and you can just swish to get the different data values. It displays LAB and LCH, and those are the data values that you want to keep track of. And I'm going to show you how to do that. This is the spreadsheet that I use when I am measuring different elements. And let me share that with you. You know, you can create your own, you know, whatever works for you. This is just what mine looks like. And I probably keep track of a little too much, but I figure if I'm doing it, I want to make sure I get everything. So this is the worksheet that I use when I'm like in a tile store measuring tile. I'll put the name up here and I record the LAB/CH values from the device because that shows up in the app. And I like to capture a light area, a medium toned area, and a darker area if there is any. So I have a complete picture of all of the colors in that material. And then I can convert it to Munsell hue, family value, and chroma. And I can also get LRV. But that is not something that is displayed in this app, right? If you take my course, Camp Chroma, I show you how to convert data values into a Munsell hue, value, and chroma notation, and also how to ascertain LRV if you need it. There's an app for that too. So, you know, I show you all of those details in Camp Chroma. And the thing about the program that we use to convert to Munsell, it was created by Harold, who was the senior color scientist at X-Ray for a million years. And Harold is also the mathematical color scientist wizard behind all things X-Ray. So the software that's in here that I'm showing you is the same as the software conversion program that I teach you how to use in Camp Chroma. Super affordable app. And there's another option too if you have an Apple, you know, we have all the things. I'll teach you how to do the conversion if you want it. And of course, the paint colors, you don't have to do the conversion to Munsell because I have all of that for you in the paint color DNA table. So when you go to the paint color DNA table, like here's our list of mock white cabinet colors. I have Munsell hue, family value, and chroma for you, as well as the LRV for all of the paint colors from all of the major paint brands. So you don't have to worry about that. That is done for you. And anybody can subscribe to the paint color DNA table, right? That's not just for my Camp Chroma students or color professionals. It's anyone. You subscribe, it's $10.97 a month. You have control of your account. You know, sign up for a month or sign up for a year. So that's where we are with the countertop and the cabinetry, and that's how you can get the data values and keep track of them too, and do something similar to what my spreadsheet looks like as far as recording the values and doing multi-point averaging. And just to review where we are in terms of multi-point averaging for the materials that we've completed so far or addressed so far, our average for the quartz is 86.5, and our cabinets were in that same range. So now we're moving on to the backsplash tile. And I went to Floor and Decor and Monterey Tile, and there was another place I went to. I forget where I went, but I couldn't find it was slim pickings for off-white creamy backsplash tile. There wasn't a whole lot to choose from. It either went from super white to it's really beige, right? It's kind of a light beigey color. It was too colorful to be an off-white. There was too much chroma. So it was kind of hard to find something. And when I was at Floor and Decor, it was kind of interesting because I spied this picket fence tile. I thought, ooh, that one looks off-white. And it was right next to the regular subway tile, which is super stark white. And this looked more off-white. And it's not, right? When I look at it with this countertop, it really does not go well together. This is just way too white, and this is just too off-white and too creamy. And it's important that you hold the materials at the same orientation that they're going to be installed, because the angle at which you view color changes its appearance. So that's very important. But what I did find was this artisan oyster ceramic tile. And here's another piece of the quartz. And this works really well together. If I can get the light to hit it just right. I don't know if you can see it, but the gloss of the tile isn't helping us out here. But it kind of doesn't matter what, color online is so hard, but we're talking about data values anyway. We're measuring all of these materials to get their color DNA. So it doesn't matter really what it looks like online, because we know it goes together because the data values align. So those were the two choices that I found at Floor and Decor. And this is probably the most common mistake I see people make. They think that just because it looks a little more off-white, that it's going to go, right? It's going to go together, but it really won't. It's not the same. And when you put them next to each other, you can really see that they are not the same hue family. Like, it does not work. And where I got these samples to bring home and measure, you can just see how much better that is. I mean, just like, it's so much better. That goes together. This doesn't go together, right? I think you can actually see this one. And when you put them next to each other, it's easy to see it too. So when I was at Floor and Decor, and of course we can't have a conversation about tile without talking about lot, right? And you might see the sample and think, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. But you need to look at the boxes and the actual lot that you will be able to purchase and take with you, because the color of the tile in the boxes you're taking with you might not match the sample on display, because the sample on display is probably old and came from a lot from, could be years ago. Who knows? So it's really important to pull a sample from the lot that you will be able to purchase. And that's what I did. At Floor and Decor, they always have an open box of the lot on the palette that's available. So that's kind of nice about that place. But this is the most common mistake I see people make. They choose the wrong color, the wrong tile to go with their quartz and their cabinets, right? You have to, it's putting all the puzzle pieces together, and you just can't eyeball it. I mean, you really can't. I was at Monterey Tile. I talked about Monterey Tile in another video that I did, and I totally misjudged their subway tile. I really thought it belonged to the green yellow hue family. And my Spectro was telling me purple blue. And I'm like, no way, purple blue, really? And then when I got it home, because I have better lighting here, I could see it. And it's like, that's when those are the kinds of lessons you learn to trust the data. It's like this is like having another pair of eyeballs with you, eyeballs that never get tired, eyeballs that are not susceptible to the ambient light, because when you use it, it blocks out all of the light, and it's only about the color that it's measuring. So the context doesn't matter. The ambient light doesn't matter. It's all about the color, the DNA of that color that you're measuring. So yeah, I mean, that's how you avoid that mistake. And it doesn't have to be white or off-white. If you're doing a color, it's the same thing, right? The how you make color easy is you take inventory of all the hue families and you align them based on the hue family. It's like, couldn't be easier. I mean, it's literally coloring by the numbers and then looking at it to make sure it looks pretty and that you like it in your space. Ideally, you can do this in your space. And sometimes if you don't have access to your space, and that happens to a lot of people, it's like, well, the house isn't there yet, but they're asking me to make all these selections. How am I supposed to do this without my house being built? That's really hard. But if you use the data values to align everything, it increases your odds exponentially that it's all going to look right once it's installed. Because if everything goes together according to its DNA, according to its data values, odds are very good that those colors are going to morph and change gracefully throughout the day under various lighting conditions if they're aligned in terms of data values. It increases your odds of getting it right. No matter what the light does, no matter what the context is, that relationship is there, right? And you know it. You can document it. You tracked it. You wrote it down. So just to show you where we are in color space now with our materials, with our cabinets, our countertop, and our backsplash, we are in this range. We're like, from when I measured everything, it came out around 78 to about 90 degrees, right? So from about 75 to 90, we're over here in color space, if you're wondering where we are in color space. The outside of the color wheel are the LCH hue angles. The inside of the color wheel are Munsell hue families. And I did a reel earlier. You should go watch that, about a story earlier about C-Lab. And I have a reel up about the physical dimensions of color and the psychophysical dimensions of color. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about that. Nothing too technical. So hue family, I call it the DNA. We're talking about these data values and I call it color DNA. So let me tell you why it's color DNA. So there's physical dimensions of color and there are psychophysical dimensions of color. Physical dimensions of color are wavelength, intensity, and purity. And it's the dominant wavelength that determines hue family. And intensity is value, lightness and brightness, and purity is chromaticity or saturation. So when I tell you that a color belongs to a hue family, it comes directly from its DNA. And how we get those physical dimensions of color, wavelength, intensity, and purity, is by measuring a color with a device, a Spectro, big one, or a big one, or a little one. It doesn't matter, because they all work in the same color space and they all display the same values. So it captures that color's energy, and then the device quantifies that energy and translates that into data values. And then we can take those data values and transform them into the psychophysical dimensions of color, which are hue, value, and chroma, which are more intuitive and easier to understand, because it's the way we see color, right? We see color in 3 dimensions, hue, value, and chroma, and we can quantify that. And then we can leverage that to figure out what colors go together. And it just couldn't be easier. And, this is the color system and color notations that are used to make all of these materials in the first place. If it exists, it's been measured. Everything has a C-Lab value. Everything has an LCH value. All of these devices, whether you're using a ColorReader or a Nix Mini, let's see what else, Color Muse 2 or a regular Color Muse. I don't have one of those out. A regular Color Muse. All of these devices display LAB and LCH values. And you can leverage that. You can use these color tools, right? You can get these on Amazon. I think all of them that I showed you are available on Amazon. And the apps, you just download them from the App Store. I mean, it couldn't be easier. It's available and accessible to everyone. No one should be struggling, shuffling materials and paint chips, trying to figure out color characteristics. That's already been done for you. All you have to do is pull it together and coordinate it and organize it and then decide. So we decided on our countertop. It's confirmed it goes with the cabinetry with these two, really the only two off-white options that I had that I could find in a reasonable amount of time without driving all over the planet, right? Or ordering something. Out of these two, this one is the best to go with the materials that we've already chosen. And let me explain why. So when we go look at its data values, I'm going to share my screen so you can see. When we go look at the data values for the tile options, again, this one is called Artisan Oyster, and its average hue angle is 85. And the other one was the white picket fence one, and its average was 97.5. So 85 to 97.5 is quite a leap, actually. And when it comes to the chroma, the Artisan Oyster, let me see if I can see that. It's right behind a window. The Artisan Oyster has a chromaticity of 0.9. And I think the white picket has a I can't see, I think it's 0.3, right? So this has more chroma than the white picket did, and that makes perfect sense. So we're really we're talking 97 and 85 in terms of hue family. It is 0.3. Okay, so at 97 degrees on the color wheel for the white picket, let me show you here. At 97 degrees, it's all the way down here for the backsplash tile, which is going to be just right snug up to our cabinetry and the quartz, which is up here in the 85 degree range, right? 85. We're up here, and this is all the way down there. That white pickup one. So no, I wouldn't choose that one. And I would choose this one, the Artisan, because it has a hue angle of 85, which is similar to our quartz and our cabinets. So that's how I know, right? That's how I know that this backsplash choice is the right choice to go with my quartz. And let's say this is a cabinet. I know it's the right one, and it looks beautiful. Yeah. And actually, I can't do it, but we should be looking at it like that. Like that. But it all goes together. And we know that because the hue family is all aligned. So we have three things, right? We have the cabinet, we have the quartz, we have the backsplash. Done. This is done. We can move on to talking about the floor, because the floor matters too. And in this scenario that we're using as an example, we're using Cali vinyl planks, luxury vinyl planks. This is a lovely brand. These are really pretty colors, and it's really high quality. And all three of these would work because all three of them are kind of in range in terms of hue family. The Osprey oak is at 76. The seaboard oak is at 78. And the point break pine is kind of low. It's at 73. That's this middle one. This one's at 73. So, you know, that's the outlier. This one in the middle. This one's at 73. So considering that we're up there in the 85-degree range with all of our other materials in color space, you know, we're here in 85 degrees in color space. You know, I think 73 might be just a little too far off. You know, because we're here at 85 degrees. We're here at 85. Up here at 73, you know, I mean, it would work. It could work. It's not that far away. But these other two are better options because Seaboard in particular was the closest out of the options that we had to choose from. It has a hue angle of 78. And so it's here at 78. And all of our stuff is pretty much right here in this 78 to 85 degree range. Actually, didn't this align? I think this aligns with something else. Does it align with our, that's 85, and Britannica was at 86. This is 78. Okay, one of the measurements that I took in the quartz was at 78. Was it 70? It was 72.7. That's what it was. So there was an area in the quartz that measured in the 70s as well. So this one makes the most sense to me based on everything else. So I would choose this one, right? So if you're, you know, debating about the 3 different choices and you don't know which one's better, and I like all 3 of them for different reasons, aligning the hue families and making that the priority, the one that aligns best can, you know, help you make those decisions more confidently and a whole lot quicker. So yeah, and I think the floor color is really important because both of these materials are going to occupy quite a lot of visual space, you know, horizontally. It's like it's going to be everywhere. So them going together is kind of important, especially if you're going to take the quartz up the wall instead of doing a backsplash. Okay, so that's our decision. So we have cabinets, we did countertops, we did backsplash, we did the floor. Last thing we need to do is paint color. And since we know where we are in color space, right? Our range is like 75 to about 90 is what I said. 75 to 90 is the range. So this is where we are in color space. And we want to stay there, right? We want to stay there for our paint color too. Now you don't have to measure paint colors. Like I said, you can just go to the paint color DNA table and enter the range that you've put together after you've measured all the things and kept track of them. You can just, you know, get your range from one extreme to the other. And like I said, in our case, it's about 75 to 90. Go to the paint color DNA table, choose your brand, and you'll get a list of all of the paint colors that go with all the stuff you already chose. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I am going to share my screen. We are going to go to this paint color DNA table view because in the last video, I didn't do this. I was sharing the wrong view of the paint color DNA table. And so we're on the right one now. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the tutorial accordion tab, and I'm going to copy my favorite operation. That's why it's there. You can do all of these other things. All of these other operations work in these filters too, if you want to. I mean, they're there. People use them. The combinations and the scenarios people create in this DNA table just absolutely fascinates me. But this is the one I normally use, right? The hue angle, our average is 75 to 90 is what I said. So I'm just going to input 75 to 90. You replaced your zeros with your range. The small one always has to go first. I'm going to choose Benjamin Moore, and I'm going to click the search activation magnifying glass, and now we have all of the colors from Benjamin Moore in our range, and it's going to be a lot of colors, right? Because it's the light ones, it's the dark ones, it's the super neutral ones, and it's the super colorful ones, strong, bold, weak, neutral. It's the whole thing all in one place. So we need to edit this down a little because these are all of the colors in that range. Looks like 700 of them. About. Fastest way to do that is to use the shortcut boxes up here. I'm going to try light near neutral first. Activate that search, and now the table only shows me all of the light near neutrals that fit in that range, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. There are only 6 of them. So 76 I think is too far into the yellow red hue family, and I'll tell you why. We're going to talk about paint colors in this region of color space. And I think sea salt would be a good one, or grandma's china. These are both, and picket fence. All of these would be options, and they're all color story colors. And so would AF 50 etiquette from Benjamin Moore. So yeah, you could, I would check all of these. And if you save them like this, and then you hit compare table, you get a window with just the colors that you selected in it. And if you want samples, you can click on try it now, and it'll take you directly to where you can get a sample. Usually it's Samplize, but if Samplize doesn't work with that brand, the link will take you to exactly where you can get those samples. I'm going to uncheck these because I want to go look at near neutrals real quick. A little bit darker. Remember sea salt though. I pulled that one. And when I look at the near neutrals, these are too gray. This is just too gray. It's too neutral. And the near neutrals have a chroma that go up to 1.0. So I want to look for something with more Munsell chroma, and it's Munsell values is how these brackets are organized. I use Munsell notations to specify these brackets. And if you hover over the question mark, it'll tell you exactly what Munsell value encompasses. What do I want to say? It'll tell you exactly what value ranges are encompassed in the category. So I'm just going to go copy from here the operation because it'll be quicker. And so the max chroma for a near neutral is 1.0. So I want to do more than that, right? Obviously. So I'll do 1.1, and we'll go up to 1.5, 1.5 Munsell chroma. And I'm going to uncheck that because I'm not using a shortcut anymore. I'm using filters, specific filters. And so when I do that, now I have a new view, a new range of colors. And let's put these in order by chroma. The most neutral ones should be at the bottom. We have it from most colorful to least colorful is how it shook out in that sort. I saw ranch wood at the top. I'm going to definitely choose that one and keep shopping. Pashmina is another good one. These are actually two good ones to compare, and I'll explain why. I'm going to click on that compare table that I told you about earlier. Before you click that button, you want to make sure that you have all of your colors selected, by the way. Let me just pop over here to StreamYard to make sure everything looks good. And it does. Okay, so we have now found 2 colors that go with all of the things that we've selected, our cabinetry, our countertop, our backsplash, and even our floor. These fit in that range, right? 82 degrees, 87 degrees. It aligns perfectly. The reason why I would get both of these samples is because of where they sit in color space. Ranch wood is at the beginning of the yellow hue family, and pashmina is just a smidge farther in. And also, ranch wood is a little bit darker, and has more chroma. Pashmina is slightly more neutral because it's lighter with a little less chroma. So this is a good comparison. Very good comparison for all of those reasons. So let me tell you what I would look for when you are comparing pashmina and ranch wood with all of your things. And of course, you want to hold it juxtaposed exactly how it's going to be. This is your cabinets. These are your cabinets. If this is your backsplash, you want to compare everything at the right angle. So the reason why I think pashmina and ranch wood are two good samples, and this is the kind of strategy you want to think about when you're choosing your samples. You want to get a range, right? A range of value, a range of chroma, and a little range in terms of hue family. So ranch wood and pashmina both fall into this can shift purple range because their hue angles were 82 and 87. So if we look here on the color strategist color wheel, we're at 82 and 87, right? And we are just barely, we're at the end of the can shift purple range. Low chroma colors in this hue family zone, we know that they can shift and look purplish in certain lighting conditions. And with the one color at 82, ranch wood at 82, and pashmina at 87, just in a little bit farther, right? Just moving 5 degrees from 82 to 87 puts us more towards the end of this can shift purple range. So if ranch wood is showing up purplish when you test it, you know that pashmina might take care of that because it's in a different part of that hue family. 5 degrees, but sometimes that's enough to shift it, especially with low chroma colors. It's enough to shift its color appearance. So, and they both work with all of our stuff because it's in the same hue family range. Now it's just a matter of getting the paint color to align with the inherent light source so it shows up the way you want it to. It aligns in terms of DNA with your countertop, even the floor, because you want to look at it with the floor too. Let me get the flooring sample because the floor color matters. So you want to take a look at your paint color with the floor and make sure you like it. This is lovely. Everything goes together. And my lighting, I don't know how it's showing up on your monitor, but it's really pretty. Which one would I choose? Well, in my lighting, ranch wood looks really beautiful. But that's why you get samples, so you can see which one works perfectly for you. In terms of the paint colors, if you get both of them and it's like, I don't like either of those and I really want something lighter, well, you can just go back to your list and do another search, right? And we'll do light near neutrals again and go take a look at that list and maybe pull a lighter color. And here we are. We can pull a lighter color. Let's do Benjamin Moore. Stick with Benjamin Moore. And, you can just, if you wanted to add Sherwin-Williams, you could. All you have to do is go up here and then add another color and then do the filter again. And it will add the Sherwin-Williams colors too. But sea salt, I told you to remember sea salt. Keep that one in mind. Pull that chip. See how it looks next to your backsplash and your backsplash and your cabinetry. There's sea salt. Obviously, you'd get a bigger chip. I don't have big chips of the Color Stories colors from Benjamin Moore, but this is really pretty with the tile too. I like sea salt. The sea salt with the floor is super pretty. I like that too. It's really pretty. So that's how you get a cohesive neutral color envelope, is you measure it for the colors and you take inventory of the hue angles, and you just align all of the elements by hue family. And that's it, we're done. We have 3 different paint colors, right? One is a light near neutral. 2 of them are a little bit darker than a near neutral, a little bit more color. And what else do I want to tell you? I showed you the worksheet and how you can get the data values, you know, because I do the big one here, but I do this one too. And it's the same process. I told you about the ranges, and multi-point averaging is how you can get a general overall read. You just take all of the hue angles that you measured and add them up and then divide it by however many scans you took. And that is your average. And I think I told you everything. So yeah, we just created a completely neutral envelope. I have a comment. Oh yeah, fabrics. I talked about that. I don't think I talked about that earlier either. But yeah, sure, you can incorporate fabrics into this whole equation. Here are a few that I pulled actually for this example. You just measure it, and they are actually on the sheet. I can show you the ones that I measured earlier and how they fit in to this whole equation. So if you're moving on to textiles at some point and you want to find fabrics that go with the paint color, for example, because you had to do the paint color before you chose a sofa, which, you know, happens sometimes to people. What if chunky linen was one of your options? Well, it would work because it has a hue angle of 83 degrees. I didn't do averages for these. Metallic linen is 85, 86 degrees. What was the other one? Chunky linen and metallic are the only 2 that I did. So yeah, these 2 fabrics, they fit into the same hue family range as all of the other things that we've measured. So that's how you, so if you have to do the paint color first, that's how you back into finding a textile to go with the wall color, is you take the hue family range and you start looking for fabrics that fit into the same range as your paint color. Because it is much easier to choose a rug or a sofa first and then choose a wall color to go with it. But when you have to create that neutral, cohesive color envelope before you're able to purchase anything big like furniture or upholstered items, that's how you back into the paint color then. And if you decide that none of the fabric choices, you don't love them, that go with your paint colors, at least now you know, right? At least you know that the paint color that you chose for whenever the time frame is that you're buying, you know, upholstered pieces, there isn't anything out there that you love that goes with the paint color, and you now know, and you know why, and now you have a decision to make. And my choice would be to repaint, right? Just repaint. Might be time to repaint anyway by the time you get there. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, just let me know. And again, I'm just making sure I told you guys everything, because the last time I forgot all about the cabinets. Kind of a big thing. This is a different color wheel from the Color Strategist color wheel that we sell in the store. And I can't believe I don't have one of those. Yeah, I do. It's buried. I have so many things. So many things. So this is the color wheel that you can buy at thelandofcolor.com or campchroma.com. We send it to you. It's 6 inches. It is made out of heavy duty signed vinyl. And a couple of you asked me about this one. I call this the training wheel, no pun intended, but you get a PDF of this in Camp Chroma. And if you take Camp Chroma, I'm going to start including one of these in your kits. We're going to print these. So you won't just get the PDF anymore, but you can only get this in Camp Chroma. You can't buy it. You can only buy this one in the store, because like I said, this is the training wheel. So once you get a feel for where you are in color space in terms of the LCH hue families, which these are to go with these hue angles, you really don't even need it. They just kind of get in the way. So that's all there is to say about the color wheel situation. And the paint color DNA table, again, you can subscribe. It's $10.97 a month. Subscribe for a month or forever, whatever you want. And we are adding new colors collections all the time. We're always adding colors in there. I don't even know how many are in there now, but I really think I got everything. I'm like freaking out. It's like, did I tell you guys everything? We're coming up on 55 minutes, so we're almost out of time. And I think I did. I think I got it all. I have a couple good reels that I've posted about the C-Lab color space and also about the physical and psychophysical dimensions of color. The C-Lab one, I need to post that. I haven't done it yet, but follow me on Instagram so you can see the reels, new ones when I post them. Okay. You guys have a great night. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you later.